go ahead and talk about Bitcoin, though, because, of course, everybody is wondering, where's the bottom on Bitcoin? And I totally get that. Let's try and find out ourselves. So, Bitcoin has been in a prolonged downtrend. And part of the reason that I've been a little bit surprised that we haven't had a bigger recovery is that it's actually very uncommon and kind of uncharacteristic for Bitcoin to have just a straight downtrend like this without any major breaks in between. That does not happen very often because the bulls are normally going to have some kind of recovery. And I think that just speaks to the fact that a lot of the bulls right now are really in the long-term hodler camp rather than in the retail kind of newer player in the space camp. So there's not a lot of bulls right now that are noobs. I think most of the noobs right now are fearful. And that is leading to a very clear downtrend, but it's a very consistent downtrend. It's not a flat drop. It's a consistent downtrend because we have the noobs getting liquidated, getting wiped out, leaving the space. And I think that's what we're seeing happen here. But let's go ahead and talk about bottoms a little bit, and then we're going to try and look for levels that Bitcoin may pull back down to, because I know you are very curious about that. There's three major levels that jump out at us right now, guys. One of them is $33,000. That's the level that we recently pulled back down to. Then we also have about $28,800. You could call that $30,000. I'll just go ahead and draw a zone right there because it is a little bit more of a zone than a level. If we go ahead and draw a zone right there, then you could see that that is very much in the cards. And then, as Tim talked about, $24,000 is another level that comes in from a couple of resistance levels over here. And Tim, where else are you getting $24,000 from, my friend?
So you had the head and shoulders pattern.
Yep, the head and shoulders.
And so when I said 20, remember I said 24, 25?
Yeah, 24, 25.
There's a zone there because you got the head and shoulders pattern playing out. You have the Fibonacci retracement level that goes all the way back to the beginning of this bull run back in end of 2020, or not even the end of 2020. It's more like, was that March? So let's see. September. No, it was September of 2020. When you have that, depending on which Feb you're looking at, we talked about that the other day, that there are times to look at the logarithmic Fibonacci, and there's time to look at the linear version. And so, to be honest, I have to redraw it to remember which one it was.
Yeah, it's 0.786 is at 22,500.
Yeah, 0.5 is at 20. Yeah, so which am I on? I'm going to check this real quick. I am currently looking at the logarithmic, and that one, 0.5, is sitting at 25,700.
Yeah.
So that is where I'm getting that number.
Yeah. So anywhere between, there's an argument to be made anywhere between 22 and 26. But let me just go ahead and clarify, guys. That could happen. I don't want to discount that. And to be honest with you, it's not an unlikely scenario. I do, however, think that we are going to see some bullishness coming in the next few months. And I think that we probably at this point will pull back down to $30,000, maybe just a little bit above it. We might not go all the way down there because I think the bulls, as we approach 30K, are going to start buying the dip in droves even more than they already are. And the people are going to start becoming more confident in the market. But at that point, I do think that Bitcoin will institute some kind of uptrend that will allow us to start coming out of this. At some point, Bitcoin is going to break this consistent downtrend. It might only be 2 weeks of upwards movement, but something is going to happen. We're just not going to continue going down, just straight down. It's very uncommon for the market to do that. So we are going to have some kind of a significant bounce in the next month, I would say, but we'll see where that goes. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of our actual TA, though. So let's look at our oscillators to start with. As you know, we are currently in the process of attempting to put into place a bullish MACD cross on the daily chart. You can see that there is convergence of the MACD, and the histogram right here over the last 4 days has been converging, looking like it's moving into a bullish cross. And through that, we also still have bullish MACD divergence. So we have lower lows here on the price action chart, and then we have higher lows here on the MACD. That is very significant because that tells us that the market is in the process of going through a bottoming phase. Whenever we see MACD divergence, it typically is a signal that the market is about to reverse. We see similar things happening at other parts, in other places in the history of Bitcoin. For example, I'll just go ahead and draw you some bullish and bearish MACD divergence right here based on what we've seen before. You probably have never heard of MACD divergence, but it's something that we've been looking at quite a bit here on the channel recently, and you can see that there are several examples just like these. In fact, I'll go ahead and draw it out like this. Just take a look at these examples of MACD divergence, and they typically play out in a pretty strong fashion. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to play out tomorrow, but it does mean that it probably will play out at some point in the next month or so. Now, taking a look at some of our other technical indicators, such as the RSI, we can see that the RSI is still actually below the 14-day moving average. That's what this line is going through RSI. If you've been using RSI for the last, 5-10 years or whatever on TradingView, you're not familiar with this moving average on it. TradingView just recently updated their default RSI package and it gave the ability to have this 14-day moving average so we can see if RSI is above or below recent price action. Right now we're below recent, not recent price action, but below recent RSI levels, but we are looking like we're having a little bit of a bounce. Now, I want to look at the candlesticks a little bit too, because if we look at the candlesticks here, they're telling us some very interesting things. We have one hammer, we have another hammer, then we have a shooting star right here, and then we have almost a spinning top right here. So this candlestick analysis landscape is very, very strange. We're getting a lot of very indecisive signals, and I'm going to kind of let them all cancel each other out here as far as some are indecisive, some are bullish, some are bearish. But the fact is, just take a look at what the market is doing. Dropped, bounced and rallied, and then is rolling over is what it looks like. The rally that we're in right now is very, very indecisive. It is very much moving sideways. We attempted to rally back up here to where we started, up around $41,000 to $42,000. That has not been able to happen just yet. There's not a lot of confidence in this bounce, and the fact that we broke bearish out of this rising wedge only leads us to believe that even more. Now, there is an argument to be made that we're moving into an uptrend. You can say that we have higher highs and higher lows, yes, but that's only on the 4-hourly chart. That's not on the daily chart. On the daily chart, it looks like we're having a bull trap and we're completely failing to bounce. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely consider subscribing, because we're trying to help you become financially free in these cryptocurrency markets. And also, consider following us on Twitter @CryptoJebb for more updates on the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Peace.